Now on paper, the Xiaomi Pad 8 is probably one of the better options out there if you want to save money over some of the flagship tablets, but could the Redmi Pad 2 Pro actually be a better, cheaper option? Well, let's talk about it. The price between these two is about $200 cheaper for the Redmi Pad, which definitely makes things a little more interesting. Both of these start with 128 gigabytes of storage, but you get 8 gigabytes of RAM in the base model Xiaomi Pad versus 6 gigabytes for the base model Redmi Pad 2 Pro. But one advantage you do get with the Redmi Pad 2 Pro is it takes a micro SD card to expand the storage, where you don't have that option on the Xiaomi Pad 8. Now obviously one big difference between these two is the smaller 11.2 inch display on the Xiaomi Pad versus a larger 12.1 inch for the Redmi Pad 2 Pro. They're both IPS LCD screens and with pretty good refresh rates at up to 120 for the Redmi Pad versus 144 Hz for the Xiaomi Pad. I think both of these look really good in person considering the price, and it may just come down to if you want a medium or large size tablet to use. The Xiaomi Pad definitely feels more premium versus the Redmi Pad. One advantage with the Xiaomi Pad is the screen is a little brighter at up to 800 nits versus 600 for the Redmi Pad. Not a huge surprise, but with that bigger screen makes it quite a bit heavier at 600 grams versus 485. The Xiaomi Pad 8 is also thinner versus the Redmi Pad as well. The Xiaomi Pad does tend to rock back and forth because of the larger camera bump on the back, where you don't have that issue on the Redmi Pad 2 Pro. So the screen is going to look better on the Xiaomi Pad. It's also going to have better viewing angles as well. One advantage with the larger Redmi Pad is it's got longer battery life, lasting about 7 hours in my typical battery drain test at 100% screen brightness versus 6 hours for the Xiaomi Pad 8. But also keep in mind the Xiaomi Pad is also brighter, so if you turn that down, it's actually going to be pretty close. Another advantage for the Xiaomi Pad 8, you've got 45 watt fast charging on the Xiaomi Pad versus 33 watt on the Redmi Pad 2 Pro. Overall though, pretty good battery life on both tablets in my testing. Obviously your mileage will vary depending on how you're using them. When it comes to the software on these two, they're going to be very similar considering both are on HyperOS 3. One advantage with the Xiaomi Pad 8 is it does have Workstation if you want to be a little more productive. You still have floating windows and split screen on the Redmi Pad 2 Pro, but not Workstation. If you want video out, use an HDMI adapter to connect to a TV, external monitor, or projector. The Xiaomi Pad 8 is the only one that has that out of these two. You can also use the Focus Pen Pro on the Xiaomi Pad 8 and the Redmi Smart Pen on the Pad 2 Pro, which is always nice to have on a tablet. There's not going to be a lot of differences in the software, and again, it may just come down to personal preference, but one advantage you have going with the Xiaomi Pad 8 is it's going to get 4 years of software updates versus only 2 years for the Redmi Pad 2 Pro, and then 5 years of security updates versus only 3, possibly 4 for the Redmi Pad. Performance-wise, this is another advantage for the Xiaomi Pad 8, which comes with the Snapdragon 8S Gen 4 processor versus the Snapdragon 7S Gen 4 processor in the Redmi Pad. So yes, the Xiaomi Pad is going to be more powerful, which you can see by the benchmark results, but the Redmi Pad 2 Pro still has pretty good performance considering the price. You can do some multitasking on both of these and play most games that are in the Play Store, but if you want to do video editing or more intense stuff, you'll definitely want to go with the Xiaomi Pad 8. Another advantage for the Xiaomi Pad 8 is you've got 6 speakers, which you're not going to find on most tablets at any price range, versus a quad speaker setup on the Redmi Pad 2 Pro, and both sound pretty good in person. I think the Xiaomi Pad probably sounds a little bit better, but I'm not sure that this category is necessarily a deal breaker, considering most people are going to be using Bluetooth headphones most of the time. But one advantage you do get with the Redmi Pad 2 Pro is it has a headphone jack, which you don't really see too much anymore. But here's a quick sample of each, just to give you an idea of how they sound.
But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray. As you fade away. As you fade away. As you fade away.
When it comes to the cameras, both of these have a 13 megapixel camera on the back, 8 megapixel on the front. You can also shoot up to 4K resolution on the Xiaomi Pad versus only 1080p resolution on the Redmi Pad. Here's a quick sample of each just to give you an idea of how they compare. So with cameras, you probably want to go with the Xiaomi Pad, and with performance, the Xiaomi Pad wins that as well. As far as speakers go, I think the Xiaomi Pad has the slight advantage. I think you can see where this is going. The Xiaomi Pad 8 is definitely the better tablet. I think the question is whether or not the extra features you get with the Xiaomi Pad 8 is worth the extra cost, or if the Redmi Pad 2 Pro is good enough in most categories. Do you really need the Xiaomi Pad 8? If you just want a tablet with a larger screen and a big battery, I think it's a pretty easy decision. But if you like tablets, phones, and other tech, I've got a lot more stuff that I'm working on as usual, so you'll want to keep an eye out for those upcoming videos. So if you've made it this far into the video, you may want to say thanks by subscribing, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if this video was helpful. This is Brian from Fishbee Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.